But a lot of good memories around here. It's a great track. As I said, every jockey loves riding around here and winning around here. Well, as soon as you walk through the gates here, it's a massive place. It's, you know, it's one of the best race courses in the world, and you can be quite overwhelmed by it. But it's important just to keep you cool. Remember, it's a very important day. You know, you're riding in front of riding a Grade 1 track. Keep you cool. Just soak everything up and just keep your head. Ascot is it's a Grade 1 track. It's one of the best tracks in the country. So you have, being a Grade 1 track, you have the best horses and you have the best jockeys. There isn't a hiding place around here. You have to be, you know, on top form, being top of your game. Every jockey loves that riding at Ascot. It's a privilege to ride here. It has some of the biggest fences in the country. You have to have a horse that stays. You have to have a horse that travels. You have to have a horse that jumps, which that's the same with Cheltenham. All these top tracks, you have to have a horse that can do all those three attributes and do it well. You've always got to believe, whatever horse you're riding, you've always got to believe that you're going to win the race. You know, it's imperative you go out with the mindset of, we're going to win this race. As a jockey, you're always aware of the horse you want to beat, or the horse that's going to win the race, potentially, and you'll have him in your sights. You can't win a race at the start, but you can lose a race at the start. So a start's probably one of the most imperative things to get right. Make sure that you don't get in behind, say, some slow horses or some horses that are going to be held up if you have to be handy. So always make sure you get a good start. So this is obviously the first fence, and as you can see, we're just starting to run downhill a little bit from the bend. I'd always look to place the horse well at fence so it jumps it well. And I always look to help it out. As you can see, they are big fences. So that's why you can't have horses that's why you need a quality horse around here. You don't just have some horses that just love to run and jump, and they're looking for the next fence and they really embrace it. You know, we see a lot of those, a bit like Desert Orchid. You know, he was always looking to run onto his next fence and ping away. There's so you have three kind of strides, okay? Now this would be a sort of a long stride. So you're on a long one there, but you can't keep meeting every fence on long strides. Okay, this is what we call outside the wings. So I mean, some horses would take off even further back, but you know, you sort of want to be. This would be a nice long stride, and then you'd move on to meeting one perfect. You know, you're sort of here, so they're just in rhythm over it. They're not expanding too much energy by going too long, and you're just meeting it spot on. This is the worrying stride. When you're sort of down here, that's when you're going to lose momentum, and that's when they can potentially make mistakes. And so when you make mistakes, especially at a fence like this, where it's downhill, they hit this, the race is getting away from you, so you have to use a bit of energy to catch back up again. Desert Orchid or like to stand off outside the wings and, you know, really make that exuberant jump. And then you'd have other horses like Altior that's won here. He was very neat. Like he could stand off. He could easily stand off here and what we call let him fly, and he'd just keep on ping ping ping. Altior could get down here. He's very very quick in front, very quick with his feet. So you could just say Nico, just say come here, and just into the bars and away, quick over it, just quick and away from the fence. So you'd come off that bend and the race will start to quicken. It's a natural thing. Going downhill, you'll always quicken. And these fences do come up very fast. You'd be amazed how clever horses are. You know, I've gone into fences and you're thinking, well, I can't see the fence, I hope you can see it. And sure enough, they do see it. They do see it, and they're amazing creatures. So I'll always tell my young jockeys that riding racehorses is exactly the same as any other discipline they've done. you know, riding, show jumping, eventing, dressage, hunt, you know, whatever. It's the basics are always keep them between your hand and your leg. You know, you've got to think of your stirrups as your foundations. That's the floor. And if you keep them between your hand and your leg, that's half a ton of horse. You have to be in charge of. You have to be in control of that horse. So they fill this in on race day because it's obviously a road. But you would not have a clue that you're going over this. It's very consistent. It's just up there is the ground. Fantastic bit of engineering, really. And you won't have a clue it's there. You won't have a clue you've gone over it. It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. But this is your first open ditch in the 2 mile chase, and you are running. It's your third fence down the hill. And by this stage, you'll be reaching top speed, probably, in the race. You're going to be coming down at some speed. It can feel 100 miles an hour. But this ditch, it rides well. It really does ride well. The one thing that with open ditches that you have to be mindful of is that if you do get too close, sometimes the back end can drag. They can drag through with their back end, and when they drag through with their back end, it jolts you forward because they're losing their momentum and they drag the back end through. I'll always say to my jockeys, the most sensitive part of a horse is actually his mouth. So you imagine if you're leaning back too much, you know, you're going to be quite strong with your hands, and then when they lose confidence through their mouth from the jockey on top, they start losing confidence to jump at speed. But so this is the last fence down the hill, and it's quite an important fence because we're coming into a long sweeping bend, and you don't want to get cast too wide, but also because of some of the nature of some races, you could be racing from the top of the hill all the way down to this fence, and you could be hitting finding some dead wood, some horses that are coming back to you. In some cases, in the big handicap chases, you know, if it's been a frenetic pace, some horses can be coming back to you here. So you want to be aware of after you jump the ditch of how other horses around you are going. Because if you've got a horse in front of you down here, and you've got two on the outside of you here, and you're in behind a horse that's not going anywhere, you're going to get shuffled back. As we head down to Swinley Bottom, yeah, you don't want to lose too much ground. If there is one place you can sort of fill them up, so just fill their lungs, this would be, you get over this fence and you can sort of fill them up round this bend because we're about to go on the incline. But also, because of the nature of the course, they can quicken round here as well. You'll sort of quicken into this dip. You'll see the dip round the bend in a minute. They'll quicken into it, so you get the momentum to take you up the hill. Indecision's the worst thing as a jockey to have. You've always got to be positive and send the signals to that horse that, right, I want you to take off, 1, 2, 3, take off. But if you're a little bit indecisive, it can happen. Unfortunately, it's happened to every jockey. You know, you can't always meet 8 fences or 8 hurdles every time, spot on every time. So it does with some horses, indecision, but indecision is your worst enemy for riding. So this is where the race will be starting to crank up. Again, you'll be looking what's in front of you. You'll be making sure that because Ascot is quite a front runners track, or what we call handy. So you're up there in the front sort of group track. You want to be making sure that someone hasn't slipped the field, because as I said about Swinley Bottom, sometimes they can just nip round that bend and get a bit of a run on you. So you always want to be making sure, if you're on a horse that's dropped in, that they haven't kind of nipped away from you, that everyone's stayed within reason. Now the race is really developed. The race is really developed, and you'll know who's around you, and the deadwood's gone. And again, you know, if you're going to hit the front 2 out, you've got to make sure you're going to hit the front 2 out and nothing's going to come from behind you. So you've got to make sure, coming around that bend, that you know you've got enough petrol left in the tank to finish and make sure you go in front. But you do see it invariably a lot of times, the race changes from the second last to the winning line, because again, it's possible to get a bit too carried away and commit a bit too soon. Fantastic building, it's a huge structure. And they do hear the crowd. Some horses don't relish it. Some horses do prick their ears and look at it, and then some horses are just keep on grinding it out and running towards the line. And jumping the last fence, the last place you want to be is right at the boards, because that's going to cost you momentum, unless you're on a very, very agile horse, and they are few and far between. Yeah, I had Finian's Rainbow. He was probably half a stride up on me, and I got a very good jump at the last and winged it actually, and that sort of helped me win the race, because that had the momentum to keep on going forward and win the race, and he went on and surged away. So still, we see it every time at Ascot. Things do change. They really do change. It all depends on the pace of the race, and has someone gone too soon? You know, has someone committed and gone too soon and used up their energy? You know, that's why Ascot's so good, such a good course to bring a horse to, and it's good to watch as well, because things do change, and it is exciting, it is exhilarating when you're in front and you can hear the roar of the stands and the crowd. You can hear the stable staff down there that are roaring and shouting and screaming at you, and it's great. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling, but it's only a good feeling when you pass the line in front.